Teachers who are more open to new ideas and less authoritarian produce students who have greater intellectual flexibility and higher achievement test scores. Studies show that teachers are most demanding when they are of the same social class as their students. The greater the difference between their own social class and that of their pupils, the more rigidly they structure their classrooms and the fewer demands they place on their students. The level of agricultural development, in particular, determines the growth of the population's living standard, since it provides both the life activity of more than one-third of population, food supply of the whole population and the development of some industrial branches, particularly light in food industry, which function mostly on the basis of agricultural products. People with Alzheimer's are increasingly dependent on others' assistance, which is frequently offered by a family member. Most of the time, caretakers are forced to leave their employment, as well as their personal and social lives. Additionally, their financial position deteriorates. As a result, Alzheimer's disease is an emotional and financial hardship, not just for the patients but also for their caretakers. Theories about how brain works remain a topic of debate. It is agreed, though, that the hippocampus, a part of the brain, is undeniably important for memory. When we experience something, the information is sent via our senses to the hippocampus, where it is processed. Scientists believe that brain cells called neurons first transform the sensory stimuli we experience into images in our immediate memory. Many consider World War I to have been the first modern war, a total war where the civilian populations were deliberately endangered as a direct tactic of war, which has continued in all subsequent wars. While civilians have always died in wars, World War I made civilian casualties accepted and commonplace, from, for example, aerial bombardment. Agro-industrial complex of any country includes agriculture, industrial processing of agricultural raw material, its sale and production activities. Agricultural sector produces agricultural raw material for food and light industry, as well as foodstuff for population. Improved balancing ability is closely associated with enhanced functional independence measurement scores at acute rehabilitation stages and at later life stages in older adults. However, maintaining balance by controlling body posture is a complex process in which multiple subsystems and environmental factors interact to prevent one from falling. Dementia patients are forgetful and often wander. These wandering tendencies are a cause of alarm for caregivers. Small electronic tags, similar to RFID chips, are available that allow caregivers and family members to locate the person in case the patient decides to take a solo trip. Many of these tags are accompanied by an Android or iOS application that allows caregivers to track the exact location of the patients. According to a study in 2010, the prevalence of dementia doubles roughly every 5 years, affecting 5% of the global population of over 65 years of age. As the number of elderly people increases, aging illnesses such as Alzheimer's disease are becoming increasingly common. In the entire world, 44 million people live with Alzheimer's disease. Because of the demographic shift toward an older population, this figure will increase. By 2050, this population will have tripled. Some scientists have suggested that dolphins have a language, but it is much more probable that they communicate with each other without needing words. Could any of these mammals be more intelligent than man? Certainly the most common argument in favor of man's superiority over them, that we can kill them more easily than they can kill us, is the least satisfactory. People have wondered for a long time how their personalities and behaviors are formed. Two distinct schools of thought on the matter have developed. The two approaches are very different from one another. The controversy is often referred to as nature and nurture. Those who support the nature side of the conflict believe that our personalities and behavior patterns are largely determined by biological and genetic factors. More and more movies were filmed in color after the end of World War II, as the industry in America came to view color an essential to attracting audiences in its competition with television, which remained a black and white medium until the mid-60s. By the end of the 1960s, color had become the norm for filmmakers. Much of the blood on the street flows essentially from uncivil behavior of drivers who refuse to respect the legal and moral rights of others. So the massacre on the road may be regarded as a social problem. Safety standards for vehicle have been raised both at the point of manufacture and through periodic road worthiness inspections. Carbon finance, also known as carbon trading, is narrowly defined as a trading and investment activity based on carbon credits and their derivatives, as opposed to the financial activities of the traditional financial sector. Compared to green finance, carbon finance has a narrower focus, which is primarily concerned with greenhouse gas emissions and the resulting climate change issues, and includes the trading and investment of carbon credits, carbon funds and their derivatives. Naval architects never claim that a ship is unsinkable, but the sinking of the passenger and car ferry Estonia in the Baltic surely should have never have happened. It was well designed and carefully maintained. It carried the proper number of lifeboats. It had been thoroughly inspected the day of its fatal voyage. Yet hours later, the Estonia rolled over and sank in a cold, stormy night. Lacking in first language skills often make learning other languages difficult. Often a child learns the basics of his or her first language or languages from his or her family. The term mother tongue, however, should not be interpreted to mean that it is the language of one's mother. Carbon finance and low-carbon development have received increasing attention in response to global environmental problems and economic transformation towards low carbon. But there is a relative lack of research in this area, both in domestic and abroad. Based on the WOS database, this paper uses the site Space, a visual analysis tool, to analyze the number of articles published, spatial distribution and research hotspots in the field of carbon finance for a total of 31 years since 1992. A tic is a repeated, impulsive action, reflexive in nature, which the actor feels powerless to control or avoid. Only when the individual performs the tic, is tension and anxiety released within the individual with a tic disorder. Tics can be triggered by an emotional state or sensation, or can happen for no obvious reason. Older patients with dementia begin losing cognitive function. Over time, hearing and vision are also affected. Some patients find it difficult to use a normal remote control. Braille remote controls are available to help the patients interact independently with the video screens. Braille is also used in elevators of caregiving facilities to allow the users to interact independently.